Kira's funeral parlor, 4 o'clock this afternoon.
There are two things that kind of bother me about this movie. One of the things is the complication between from going to talking to, and remind me of the character's name, the Russian mafia guy.
Valentin Zukovsky.
Hagrid?
Hagrid.
You're right. That is Hagrid. Oh my God, it's Hagrid. Hagrid's in this movie. Oh my God.
You Harry Potter freak. You're such a nerd.
Harry Potter's in this movie?
Anyway, let's talk
Hagrid.
about Boromir. I want to talk about Boromir.
So anyway, he's in the movie. So one of the things it's not a huge issue, but it does kind of leave to this very unclear thing where it leads from him. He goes to talk to him to basically get an introduction with Janos. And it doesn't, and the one thing that I'm always confused with, and maybe you can point this out, is Bond explains this whole scheme.
200 pounds of C4 explosives hidden in a casket. Your man drives the hearse in. The money's exchanged. Their man drives the hearse out. Their man will be arrested with the explosives. Your man will make a miraculous escape with the money. Your money.
Your guy's going to come in with the money and the casket, and the other guy's going to do this, and there's going to be this whole trade-off. So in our minds, I'm thinking, okay, we're going to see this scene, and then we don't. So really, it's just him explaining something.
It's like the stinger plot of License to Kill.
Felix gave me a letter at his wedding from the Attorney General granting Heller immunity if he gets the stingers back.
Heller said he would, and there's a letter from Leiter and immunity and all that. And if you're not paying strict attention, you don't know what's going on. But then, again, with that movie, all you need to know is what Franz is doing bad stuff with stingers and he needs to die anyway.
Yeah.
And then in this movie, all you need to know is, it checks out, but all you need to know is, I'm going to do a favor for you, and then you're going to get me in touch with Giannis, because they don't show it. So if you're not listening, you'll miss out on it.
So what do you know about Giannis?
Zilch. Zips. No one's ever seen him. But the man's connected up the gazoo. KGB, military. Best thing I can do is point you in the direction of his competition.
Who is the competition?
An ex-KGB guy. Tough mother. Got a limp on his right leg. Name's Zukovsky.
Valentin Dmitrovich Zukovsky?
Yeah. You know him?
I gave him the limp.
When he's pulling up to Zukovsky's, Jack Wade asks him, what are you going to do? The last guy that was here, they killed and all that. He says, I'm going to appeal to his wallet. And then he lays out this whole plot where Zukovsky can make a quick buck because according to Bond, and according to Valentin Zukovsky himself, he's not really doing that well financially. He's just kind of getting by.
I mean, he makes that joke about, it's like, I have 6 helicopters, and you're like, you have 3, and none of them work.
I have 6.
3. None that fly.
Who's counting?
Hey, here's a get-rich-quick scheme, and then in exchange, you're going to set me up with Giannis.
I want you to set me up with Giannis. Tell him I'm asking about the chopper. You're going to meet me tonight at the Grand Hotel Europe.
And then cut to Bond in the pool. Xenia Zargevna Onatop shows up, and she takes him to Giannis, and that's it. And then the moment we realize that Giannis is Alec Trevelyan, it's just off to the races.
Explain to me his motivation again about his family and the Cossacks. The Cossacks.
He's a Lien's Cossack.
You knew, didn't you? He's a Lien's Cossack.
It's in the past.
He'll betray you.
Just like everyone else.
The Lien's Cossacks were Russians who were working for the Nazis.
Gotcha.
They were like the Tories or whatever in the U.S. These people who were working for the British during the American Revolution. The Allies found the Lien's Cossacks, who were Russians working for the Nazis.
Group that worked for the Nazis against the Russians. Second World War.
You know your history, Mr. Bond. At the end of the war, the Lien's Cossacks surrendered to the British in Austria, believing they would join your government and wage war against the communists.
Oh, great, we're going to go live in Britain and everything's going to be great. And the British were like, F*** you, and they sent them back to Russia.
Sent them back to Stalin, who promptly had them all shot. Women, children, families.
Mine survived the British betrayal and Stalin's execution squads. But my father couldn't let himself or my mother live with the shame of it.
His dad killed himself and his mom. And so Alec just wants revenge on this horrible thing that happened to his people as driven by the British.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. That one scene is very exposition heavy, and it's not in a... It's just a lot of information
Yeah.
That if you're not paying attention, you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, for someone who's seen this movie 17 million times.
I've seen this movie a lot. It's just,
it all
I always
checks out.
forget.
And speaking of Valentin Dmitrievich Zukovsky,
Valentin Dmitrovich Zukovsky?
Ksenia Sergeyevna Onatop.
Arkady Grigorovich Orumov.
Natalia Fyodorovna Semyonova.
Natalia Fyodorovna Semyonova.
Natalia Fyodorovna Semyonova!
Russian names, they always come in threes. I know we as Americans have middle names. Who cares? We don't really have a use for it other than like the fact that there's a million John Smiths. So you just have John Abraham Smith just to differentiate from the other John Smiths. But Russian names always come in threes. It's like your last name, given name, and I think your middle name is then they use something called a patronymic, which basically means that you take the father's name and you add a vich or an ovich for men, ovna or ovna for women, which just means son of or daughter of. Natalia Fyodorovna Semyonova, Ksenia Sergeyevna Onatop. That means that like Natalia's father's name was Fyodor, so she's
Instead of
Fyodorovna.
eyes, or.
Yeah, so that's how the names work. So that's why you always have their names in threes. That's like Russian names are cool.
Yeah. But the other thing that I will say is like on the fence of if I like it or not. Like I'm just like, this is the music. And it's not that I hate all of the music. I love the thing that you were talking about is the sound effects.
Wait, it's
Yes. I love that sound effect.
It is a hollow pipe. It is a steel object hitting a hollow pipe from far away. Which that sound, every single time I heard that sound, I was like, oh.
But
Oh, yeah.
if you think about it, it's
Takes me back
saying
to
it's saying something about the movie.
It's
'cause
the
this
sound
is-
I make when I see Natalia or Xenia.
But if you watch the intro, it's you know you have the sickle and hammer, and it's supposed to be like the sounds or the echoes of the USSR essentially, or the Soviet Union, and it's now dismantled.
Hello, James.
But I do think there are times when the music isn't the best, and it's like
And I know you're talking about
agree.
the car scene.
the car scene. But there's other scenes that I'm
Yeah.
like,
I'm talking about the
but it's
ending
not
credits.
bad.
That's a terrible song.
I didn't play GoldenEye on Nintendo. I didn't. I just never played that game.
Yeah, who cares?
Like a lot of
What?
other kids did. And I'm only saying that because there are. No, I didn't. But
Wow.
I'm saying that because I do think that sometimes if it's on the soundtrack of a game and you've played it a lot, that will like play with your emotions because you're like, I like this game a lot, and I remember you listening to the music. I like the music. I like parts of the music. I just don't think the music is the strongest in parts. In fact, I didn't realize this. I was reading this, but apparently Martin Campbell didn't like the music originally done by the composer for the tank scene. And he had to have it completely redone because he didn't like the finished version. So the version that you have in the movie is done by a different composer entirely.